Hey, this is 3on3 Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Aaron.
And I'm Chris.
Wait. You already said your name.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right. Anyway, to jump right into it.
Yes, Aaron had... I think I speak for all of us when I say we're hot.
Well,
there's some news this week. It's got me hot.
Well, it's got you hot. I think it's interesting, but I would agree. I've leaned that way.
We're also sitting in a really hot study room at Asbury University.
Yeah. And it's also 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, we are not cold right now.
That is true. All right, so to jump right into it, our first topic is covering the new Microsoft Xbox One bundle plan that they've just announced. It's called the All Access Plan, and this plan allows you to be leased an Xbox One X or an Xbox One S for either $35, which is for the X version, or $22 for the S version, and you pay that a month. Now, you have to commit to a 2-year plan for this. So you have to write down to do this for 2 years, and the idea is that that will pay off what you would actually pay for the console if you were to pay all at once. But the point about this bundle is that it will also get you Xbox Live Gold and an Xbox Game Pass at the same time. So let's just start with that. I have other details later, but let's just begin with that. That's the setup here.
First things first.
Yeah, you go.
That's a lot of dedication.
It is.
Yeah.
It sounds like they want to turn the Xbox into a phone.
It sounds to
with
me,
that 2-year contract plan right there.
It sounds to me like also like a car dealership. Like, we're gonna lease you this car. We're gonna lease you this Xbox. Like,
too many big words.
Yeah, like I don't need to worry about paying for my gaming console. I just want it so I can play it. The only thing I need to worry about is saving up enough money. Work a few weeks, you got a gaming console. Who can't do that?
With what you just said, it wouldn't be your console. You're just renting it.
That's true.
They want to turn this. They want to turn console gaming into a service.
That's too far. That's too much for me.
There are some ideas about what the reasoning is behind this, and one idea is that, to quote an article that is talking about this, in reality, this is more a way for Microsoft to simplify the costs of owning an Xbox. By doing so, the company seems to be trying to incentivize some gamers to try out an Xbox before the next generation of hardware inevitably dominates the new cycle and discourages new buyers from the existing platform.
So you know what that sounds like to me?
What does it sound like?
Desperation.
Ooh.
You know, I hate to say it, but I would actually agree, and that is the point that I would have to go with.
Podcast. Sorry.
No.
Desperation.
That's two.
That is
We're desperate kids.
That's why it's going on the deep web again.
No,
no,
we're
it's
not getting into that. Anyway, it's interesting. They actually did this same exact type of thing in, I believe, 2012. They didn't have a name for this plan, but right at the end of the Xbox 360 cycle, they started a plan where you could sign up for a 2-year subscription as well. You'd pay $99 up front and then pay a monthly $15 charge, and that would get you the Xbox console with, it says, I'm reading this off of an article as well, with an Xbox Live Gold service and a few other services at the time that they were just kind of throwing in there. So if people were thinking that this is a brand new thing, it's not. This has been attempted before, and now they're going back with it. Now, just like the most recent article says, some people would say, oh, they're just trying to make it easier for gamers and people to try out new Xbox stuff, which I can understand that. However, at this point,
it's not worth it.
If you look at the entire history of the most recent Xbox,
the One
Xbox
One S and the One X.
Yes, it started.
Why don't they call it the 1, the 1.5, the 1, the 2, the 3?
Oh, believe me, that the naming process is an entirely different
it went
conversation.
Xbox 360,
also,
Xbox One.
Why didn't they call it Xbox 360 and then Xbox 720? They should have had one between the 360.
Oh, everyone thought they were. But that is.
I remember all those memes.
Yeah, that's another
Oh, back
conversation.
in the day.
Xbox 90, Xbox 180,
Hey,
Xbox 360.
But
Just real quick pause. If we have any Xbox listeners right now, Xbox shut off.
all right,
Oh,
and
that was.
I hope your Xbox is on right now.
okay. Anyway,
If not, Xbox on. Ooh.
I will say that
Alexa.
tech-wise, the
Despacito.
Xbox is a perfectly fine console.
Used to be.
Well, here's the thing. Tech-wise, there's nothing wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
the business decisions that have been made by Microsoft, and I'm not going to go into a whole
Who's
shtick
running
about
this? EA? We know it's
into
bad.
a whole shtick about how Microsoft is a terrible company. However,
When it comes to gaming.
well, when they started off the Xbox One and to reveal it at E3 and such, it started off terribly.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
I remember E3 2013.
Well, exactly.
Oof.
Xbox One had the first spot on stage before the PS4, and when the PS4 did their reveal,
PlayStation
they
destroyed them.
based an entire section off it specifically off of the anger caused by the Xbox One. And if you don't know what happened at the time, the Xbox One was shown to be a console where you couldn't. And the biggest thing, just to kind of keep this small, the biggest thing was that you couldn't trade games with anyone else. If you bought a game and the moment you inserted it into your console, it became keyed into that console, and it wouldn't work on anything else.
And then PlayStation, in their reveal of the 4, they made their own video about how to trade games. And literally one guy on the left gave his friend next to him the game, and that was it. He just said thanks.
Absolutely.
But then the PS4 came out with No Man's Sky, and at the time,
It was on all consoles.
it was. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was a
it's not
PS4 exclusive.
It's not just a PlayStation.
No,
Guys, I'm really good at keeping up with current events. Also, my main takeaway from this whole discussion so far is the mic definitely picks up when we do this. So I want our listeners to go back and listen to that whole previous conversation about Xbox and count how many times you hear this noise, because it's there. And I'm curious to see how many times we all did it.
Well, while we continue this conversation, we will attempt to not do that anymore.
I can't promise because this thing gets me hot.
That's true. Chris is, if you hear it, it's largely Chris.
This is really hard.
But to keep going with that, though, so it started off of a rocky start, to say the least. And the following year to 2 years, every month, the PlayStation outsold the Xbox One.
It still does.
Well, and that's the thing. It still does. And with the oncoming wave of exclusive that the PlayStation is going to have, it's actually, Sony has never been on a more stable financial base in terms of the PlayStation ever. It's at its highest point, and there's no evidence that it's going to be going down from here.
Yep.
So, taking that into account, as much as sure I could see that this plan is a method to make gaming easier, and trying out Xbox console, the current one, easier for gamers, honestly, it really looks like it's just an attempt to get people to buy their consoles, because honestly not a lot of people are right now, and it doesn't look like not a lot of people are going to.
Well, who doesn't have a console right now? Like,
That's true.
I believe everybody now. This is a blanket statement, but most people have, at least nowadays, a next-gen gaming console. Now, I remember when I was trying to make a decision between which next-gen console I wanted, and at the time I was playing PS3 after I had my Xbox 360, which broke after like years of use and abuse. And
Mine did the same thing. My 360 broke. I switched to a 4.
yeah, like, and it's just so the 360. What I'm trying to get at here is the 360 and the PlayStation 3 were two great consoles, like just two blanket great consoles. Now I know there's some elitists out there who'll be like, the PS4 was way freaking better, or the Xbox 360 is the best console ever. Both of you are wrong. The Nintendo 64 was the best console ever made, and I will fight to the death for that statement. Can you imagine Star Fox online? Like online multiplayer, N64 Star Fox or N64 Mario online? That's just my blanket statement. Also, I feel like nowadays, like, it's just a publicity stunt. I feel like the whole console wars is just publicity after publicity after publicity. I'm surprised I said it 3 times straight, but like that's what this whole thing feels like to me. It's just trying to like get the attention of PS4 fans to really focus on Xbox.
Yeah, and there are a couple of caveats that come with the Xbox One bundle. You can only purchase the subscription in person at a Microsoft store. So if you really want this,
Where are Microsoft stores?
largely in malls. That's the only place I've ever seen a Microsoft store.
I've seen an Apple store.
I don't. But
Oh,
to be
and
fair,
that's-
I don't think I've seen Sony stores.
Oh, that is true. At
They
least
used
not
to be
largely.
called
But that's
Radio
called
Shack.
Best Buy.
Yeah. However, though, that is only the bottom of it. The company is also asking. So Microsoft is also asking customers to sign up for a Dell preferred account.
A Dell?
Which is just wait. Which is it's not asking you to buy a Dell piece of tech. A Dell preferred account, for those of you who don't know what that is, it is a line of credit that you'll have to qualify for before Microsoft will let you sign up. Now, that is not unheard of to purchase a subscription, especially a 2-year subscription for expensive technology. It is always done through credit, through a credit card, that sort of thing. When you buy a phone and you get
Everything's done through
a
credit
2-year
nowadays.
contract, that is through a credit card. Now, what many people don't know, and I only know this because I have dealt with a Dell preferred account before.
Wait, you're telling me you've dealt with a Dell preferred account before?
Yes.
Was Adele the lady you were speaking to over the phone?
Absolutely. She's singing to me the entire time.
Good.
However, with a Dell preferred account, now, and this is about the account. I don't know if they're going to do this specifically as well with this bundle, but there is I believe the last time I checked, roughly a 20 to 24% APR with the credit that you take. What that means is that you are paying interest. All right, so let's say you pay $100 over a course of 2 years. Okay, if there's a 24% APR, you're paying an extra $24. Now bump that up to, let's say, roughly $600. That goes up a little bit more, and that includes not only interest but taxes and that sort of things that are taken into account with the people who are giving you that line of credit. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's done with the Microsoft deal. However, if it is, you should know that going in, that you're not just, if that's the case, you're not just paying the immediate price. You are paying extra for interest because you're taking out a line of credit for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, there is a lot under the surface that people wouldn't think about.
Yeah, it goes very, very deep. And honestly, I have no idea what to say about it.
Yeah, that was a lot of information to take right there. And Mom, if you're listening, I think I know what I want for Christmas now.
Oh, don't you? That might be one of the most intelligent things that's ever going to be said on this codcast.
This Codcast. That's
yes.
a throwback
Yes, it is a
to the
throwback.
last episode.
Throwback
That is
to
true.
1 week ago, son.
That wasn't even a full week ago when we recorded that.
Well, that's true, but
But this will be released in a week.
This will be scheduled to release.
Well, not a week from
now you
Hey,
guys know our process.
You
'cause
guys
They don't know what
Don't
day
worry.
this is.
what year is it?
It could be Flun Day.
Yep, you guys just believe that it's Flun Day, spoken by our resident Chris.
I thought it was
Chris.
Fun Day. Chris. I thought it was Fun Day.
Yes,
In certain countries.
I was about to say, it really depends on pronunciation.
Okay. Is there like, are there 2 dots over the U? I forget what that's called.
An umlaut?
Yeah, an umlaut. Is there an umlaut over the U? Flu.
No, it's
I am-
it's a umlaut.
Oh.
I'm very impressed that you knew that. As a
I
matter
took
of fact,
2 years of German in
I-
high school.
I know. I'm just really, I didn't expect that.
I'm all right with German too, but I forgot it was called an umlaut for a hot second.
But anyway, any final thoughts on this before we move on to our second topic for this episode?
Yeah, and
I hate it.
yeah. I'm really struggling with it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. We are a very PS4 heavy podcast here at 3on3 Industries because
I would say PlayStation and Nintendo.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, I love Nintendo. I just haven't had the money to buy a Switch. I still have my 64 and I still have my GameCube.
Oh, I still have my GameCube, my Wii, and my Wii U.
Yeah.
Chris has it all.
U,
Yeah,
Wii U.
Chris is definitely our entertainment expert. When it
Expert's
comes-
a strong word.
Well, I mean, you are studying film.
Jacob, we can make a whole podcast. You just talking about the Legend of Zelda timeline.
Well,
That is true.
That's next week's stuff.
Oh, I thought that was gonna be 2 weeks ago.
Oh, don't mess with the timeline, dude.
Dude, I'm the Flash. I'm like Barry Allen, man.
All right.
Am I too soon?
Anyway,
I'm too soon.
final thoughts here.
I gotta give it to Sony and PS4 for staying so consistent.
Sure.
And the thing that hurts me the most about this is it's not creative. Isn't gaming such a creative industry?
No, they want to turn it into a service platform.
Yeah, and
It's not gaming.
It's not gaming, and like gaming has always inspired me to create, and this is like just taking that away, which is kind of the big takeaway for me. Is like it hurts to see that the company that I once loved because of Gears of War and Halo and all these games is now acting like this, and it's kind of a little bit heartbreaking.
Also, like what they've been doing to Xbox, they've been doing since the reveal of the Xbox One X, or just the Xbox One, because the whole point of the Xbox One was to take your gaming console, and the title One implies it's everything. It's your entertainment center. It's where you get Netflix and whatever
true.
else you use. But the PlayStation does that too.
That's true. That's true. Fun bit of trivia. The Xbox One was never commercialized as a strict gaming console, as opposed to the PS4. The PS4 was commercialized as a gaming console. The Xbox
With
One,
other services in it.
yes, yeah, the Xbox One was, and it probably still is commercialized as a
Entertainment center.
as a home media system.
Yeah.
Which was their ideal, which was to bundle it all into one thing.
Yeah.
But the PlayStation does that already. It's been doing that. It does it better. Where can Xbox go in the future with this?
Well, we'll see.
What
In the next
will
2 to
keep them alive? People say
in the
backwards
next-
compatibility. I don't buy it.
Yeah, in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll see, because that's when the next generation comes out.
Yeah.
And that will be the telltale.
Since we're already hot, and we're sitting
And
in
hotter.
and we're sitting in a hot room.
Sure.
Let's crank up the heat a little bit more. This is always a fun thing to talk about. Now, let's try to stay away from ranting, guys, because we're really good at that just as friends. We're really good at going on rants. But I want to talk about some things. I'm trying really hard not to say that grinds your gears, but things that grind your gears, things that make you just
Solid attempt.
Of war?
oh yeah, it grinds my gears of war. No, just things that you see, like everyday little things that just tick you off. Who wants to start it? I got it on. All right, I'll start it. Skinny guys that can eat whatever they want.
Oh, so
It-
what do you have against me, huh?
It makes me upset. I am 6'5", 290 pounds. I used to weigh 330, but now like I have to strictly watch what I eat, or I'll bloat like a balloon, and I'll see guys walking around no more than 92 pounds, stuffing ice cream and burgers down their gullet, and I'm like, guys, teach me how. Like, I want to learn this stuff.
I could eat a Wendy's Baconator breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day,
Yeah, for those
and
of
I'd
you
be fine.
for those of you who don't know, that's largely due to a thing called metabolism,
I don't care.
which for most normal people,
This isn't a
cuts
science
off-
podcast, Aaron.
It does cut off at a certain point, but like Jacob's saying, it doesn't for some people.
Yeah, I know. Dude, it is the worst. I sit with
My
people.
metabolism's so much better than yours.
What? My metabolism's so huge, like you don't even know.
Mine's most biggest.
Mine's most biggest metabolism, but like I'll sit with guys at lunch and they'll go and get seconds and thirds and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'll have this salad and feel real fat afterwards. Maybe I have body dysmorphia. Who knows? Only time will tell, right? Right, guys? Right?
I mean, Sure.
Whatever you want to believe.
You know, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. I'm actually skinny in my own mind.
All right, so I don't know where this came from, but today I discovered something that does annoy me. I didn't know it did until today. I saw somebody wearing a Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt. I don't know why, but those things just have started appearing out of nowhere. It annoys me because no one who's ever been to a Hard Rock Cafe got their t-shirt.
Well, I think there's like a good 2% that have.
Yes.
But I agree. I think most people are just like, yeah, I got this from like a
Bought it from
a tourist
Kohl's.
store. Did you ever go?
Where did they just
No.
keep coming from? It just showed up out of nowhere, and I saw it today. I'm just like, that annoys me. Why do you have that right now?
Yeah, and that's because of that. I like to think that that's largely like a conversation ender. Because if you ever you'll go up to that person and be like, hey, like, have you ever gone to the Hard Rock Cafe? And they're like, oh no, I haven't.
Done.
And then, oh yeah, exactly.
No chemistry with that person.
It ends there, and you're thinking, oh, okay,
Bye.
well, have a good day, and then you just leave. Yeah. No, I agree. That it just like I get it. It's for the novelty, and I understand that, but at the same time, like, how do you say this? If you have a Hard Rock Cafe shirt or something like that, and you've never been to that place or the place of the attire that you have, it at least, like, you owe it to yourself. Go there sometime. That way you can say, you know what, I have been there. It'll be a good experience. It'll be fun.
And I think with that, we're going to scrap this conversation so we don't end up talking about Hard Rock Cafe t-shirts. As long as we talked about Big Bang Theory last week.
That's true. As much as that
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to talk about that show less.
Bazinga! All right.
Anyway.
Man, all right. It's what blows my mind nowadays are overnight trends. Like, the internet is such a fascinating tool, but a trend can spread like a wildfire, and you don't even have to stoke the flame. Like, have you
Tide
guys
Pods.
noticed that? Tide Pods.
Oh yeah.
Tide Pods. I ate one the other day. Tasted great.
I watched it happen.
But disclaimer, that did not happen. If
No.
you're
No, I saw
listening And you're like a child.
Yeah, no.
Don't please
Please don't eat Tide Pods. I think didn't the company at one point release like a statement
Yes.
that basically just
They- multiple times.
please don't
And, you know,
eat these.
to go with that, I think, like, to even grow off that, for me, it's not just overnight things. It's stupid overnight things. Like type
Everything on there is
like
stupid.
if there's a video
Like
of like
Fortnite.
a cute dog or a cute cat just kind of rolling in the snow or something, like, that's fun.
It's adorable at the moment, but you'll forget about it in 10 minutes.
Well, exactly, but like that's the point. It'll just go by and whatever. Like, all right, but if it's something like Tide Pods or like the cinnamon
Pads?
challenge,
Tide Pads.
yeah, no,
Dude,
Tide Pods.
It's like how Apple went from the iPhone to the iPad.
It's true.
Tide
Tide
phones
Pods.
and Tide Pads.
They're
Tide
starting
Max.
a whole line of
The
consumer products.
The iTide.
You guys really need to keep your eyes out for that. But
Your
but no,
Tide's out for it.
what makes me upset is stupid stuff that like kids will get into, and it blows my mind because I've never been one to have common sense either growing up or now. However, I like to think
It's true. He has none.
like I would admit to it completely. However, I like to think that I have enough.
I've never been one to have how they would say common sense.
If,
We're gonna fill a boat with lightning.
if we're that's a story for another time. If we're being real honest, but I like to think that if someone handed me the equivalent of, I don't know, dish soap and said, eat or drink this, I would say no.
Or for how much?
I mean, that is true. If someone's,
$1 million, but.
if someone were willing to pay me $1 million, I would. And I expect that many people would also do that.
Yeah, and then I'd probably drink the soap, then use half that million at a hospital to get my stomach pumped.
That
And
is
then you
true.
still have $500,000.
So technically you're coming out on top. But if you're one in like the trillion person who has that exact scenario, go for it. If you're not, like one of us, don't.
So if one of our listeners wants to give me $1 million, I will drink soap for that million.
Please do. Please do.
And we are only serious inquiries only, please. This is a serious Craigslist ad.
I mean, this is going on the dark web, so you never know.
Stop. Please stop. It's not.
Anyway.
But going back to what Aaron said, it shows me how impressionable people are and how susceptible people are to do what they think is popular.
Yeah.
Play on Xbox.
Oh, and society has become an attention-based society, and that's why.
Yeah,
I mean, because whenever they do this, they'll make videos.
Let's not even get into a topic about attention with like Instagram live stories and.
I have one thing to say about this. I fully believe, I call it the rock star generation.
Okay.
I say this because I remember when I was a kid, I still have this picture. Maybe it's left an impression on me because I am a guitarist. But we had my parents for my birthday one year got me a toy guitar. Mm-hmm. I just pressed one button and it made lights and sounds, and I thought I was a rock star. Now you can press one button and you get tons of likes and notifications, and you think you're a rock star. We grew up, at least I did. Grew up like my dad listened to like hard rock, like guys like rocking out, being stars, and I know I started to crave that kind of lifestyle, and I think a lot of other people did too. Now, breaks don't come to people, and working hard is hard sometimes. So I think a lot of what happens is social media just kind of came in and said, "Hey, create for each other. You are all the audience and performer. Go have fun."
Yeah.
In some ways, that annoys me.
In some ways, that annoys me.
Because if everyone's a performer, then you don't know who the real ones are. Like us, we're getting attention right now.
Well, as a musician, I kind of love it.
I mean, yeah. Sure.
I would say like it's good for creativity, and I say that hesitantly, but I'll say just in a general sense, I think it's good for creativity. But I'll say a dangerous thing. But I think what Jacob said, and I agree with that. This rock star idea, to put it that way, I think that it has allowed for this idea that we can do, like anyone can do anything. And as much as I love that idea of you can do whatever you set your mind to, if I'm being brutally honest, not everyone. No one can do everything. I can't play the guitar as well as Jacob can. I won't ever know media in terms of television and film as well as Chris does, and I'm okay with that. And I hate how, just like Jacob said, the rock star culture that we live in nowadays has set this stage, to put it that way, has set the stage for you can do whatever you want, and you could be crap at it, and you would never know it because you get 1 million hits or 1 million likes or something like that, and no one would ever say, that you're really kind of bad at this, do something else, because all they say is, like, you're so brave, or this is so nice.
That's true.
And this isn't at everyone, but it needs to be said that, like, if you're good at something, stick with it. And if you're not, and I say this now because a lot of people, I think, are losing this skill, you got to recognize that you're not good at something.
Yeah, and I think it's another thing of, like, caring about what, just caring about things in general. I worked, again, another factory story. I worked with a lady in this factory. I did not care about this factory job at all, as you guys can tell. Yeah, I did not. And this isn't like joking or anything. This lady took her job as supervisor dead serious. She worked for 6 years to finally get this job, and she pushed us. She really pushed us. I hated it sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but there were other times where I was like, I admired how much she cared about getting 20 boxes full of foam parts by the end of the day. Yeah. She would stress out about it in a, like, sometimes not in a good way, but at the same time, like, I really admired how much she cared about this. And I think, and I do this too, I think a lot of people pick and choose what they care about instead of just caring about the thing that's right in front of them and getting that thing done and done well, if that makes any sense.
Sure, I agree with that.
That was a deep spiel.
And now, listen, any final thoughts before we move on to our final thing, which I think Chris will set up after our final thoughts, because we've only hit 2 topics.
3 on 3, baby. My final thought is that one, going back to the things that like tick us off every now and then, I believe it's okay to vent to a good friend.
Which is what we are doing.
Yeah,
right now.
We consider you all good friends of ours.
As we've been ranting.
Thank you.
We've been ranting to each other for months and weeks, and really since we were all freshmen. Like every night.
Well, they have. I never rant.
You've been part of rants. Don't make me get Patrick on this podcast, Aaron.
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah.
No, but like ever since our freshman year, like we would just sit in somebody's room and just talk about video games, and that's what sparked our podcast idea.
Yeah, and
We want people to hear what we have to say.
now
If anybody hasn't been in college yet, that's one of the pros of college. You get to have late night talks that get real
yeah.
and real deep. It's really great.
But with like, don't be afraid to vent to your friends. Pick and choose who you vent to, and make sure that the timing's right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Don't just go in and just like, hey, what's up? I'm gonna get all this off my chest. They're like trying to get an assignment done or trying to get some work done or something like that.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience.
I am. I've done it several times. And what I've learned is always just be kind to people's space and what they're doing. Just be courteous. And don't vent to anybody. Vent to people you can trust and do it in a healthy way. Don't just go and yell about something at your friend. Talk with your friend about what's kind of ticking you off. That's the whole reason I wanted to do this segment today, was to be able to talk about that.
Yeah, and if you slip up and you yell and scream at one point or another, or if you intrude on them doing a homework assignment or something like that, like, don't worry about it. That happens. But I mean, Jacob's right. It's good to learn and to develop that skill of timing, of knowing who you can go to, because having a select group of, I wouldn't even say a handful, I'd say 3 to 4 people that you can really go to talk about anything. That's perfect.
Yeah. All right, Chris, what's up next?
Last thing.
So this is kind of going back to our first conversation. It does involve Xbox, but it's more about gaming in general.
That's true.
Cross-platform compatibility.
Yes, otherwise known as crossplay, just nowadays.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's been labeled
That's
as.
like, say for example, you're on an Xbox, but you want to play with a friend on your Nintendo Switch, or vice versa. Or if you're on PlayStation 4 and you want to play with somebody on their Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right, so
It's
let's
very gimmicky.
Yeah, before we kind of dive into this, let's say what we think of that. So just to make it clear for everyone, the idea is that no matter what platform you're on, whether it be computer or any of the consoles that are out right now, you will be able to play with anyone from those consoles. That's the whole idea of crossplay. So let's share what we think of it.
Well, for what you just said, all I have to say is allegedly. Because PlayStation does not allow cross-platform.
Well, yeah, and that's why I said that's
At
the
all.
idea. I was about to say,
Yes.
if it were an actual thing that were occurring for every console and computer, that is what would happen.
But it is very heavy centered between Xbox One and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, right now that is the case.
Um,
Yeah, so what do we think? Yeah.
my first initial thought is, gosh, more Fortnite.
Yeah, that's Fortnite really is what started this whole
And
debate
Yeah.
online, and it's really annoying. Like,
but so the initial thought is, growing up without internet, I didn't play.
on a Nintendo 64,
Yeah,
for
like,
starters.
Well, Nintendo 64 for starters, but even when I had an Xbox and a PS3, and then a PS4 right before I came to college, I never played online because I didn't have the ability to. So that's the main reason I bought a PS4, is because at first Xbox was going to be all online gaming, and I wasn't about that because I just couldn't do it. So if online gaming kind of has a scar. Now, I love playing online, but online gaming kind of has a bad image for me.
Okay.
How so?
Just like if a game comes out that's only online,
Black Ops 4.
yeah, like I'm probably not gonna buy that game.
Okay.
Because I grew up playing single player with my brothers, and the best was open world games. That's why I love open world games so much. Because we would take the controller for 30 minutes at a time, and one of us would play, and we'd all watch.
Man, I remember doing that with my cousins.
Yeah.
Specifically with Just Cause 2.
Oh, dude,
The
Legend of
memories
Zelda
from that
Ocarina
game
of
with my
Time.
cousins.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that at least as of right now, for something to be completely online, it limits who can play it.
It limits who can
for
play it.
families who don't have internet access, or even internet access that's good enough, because you do need to have a decent internet connection to play online games well.
And I feel like it's just going to go all online when it goes cross-platform.
It definitely will eventually.
Like,
Okay.
I can
That's what Call of Duty's trying with this next game.
the online that I can totally get behind is kind of like a Dark Souls type, where like, man, I'm really having trouble with this boss. Oh wait, I have the option
Okay.
to call my friend over, and then he can help me fight this boss in my single player game.
So if everything went online, quote unquote, but as an option rather than a necessity,
Like
or,
Grand
or
Theft
a
Auto.
requirement,
Like Grand Theft
that
Auto.
would be fine.
Perfect. That'd be
Okay.
amazing. Yeah.
All right, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, I want to focus on Xbox again specifically. Like
Okay.
Nintendo Switch came out a year and a half ago, and Nintendo's like just thriving off the success of it.
Sure.
And Xbox hitched a ride on that train really hard, and it just seems like they're still desperate. They're like, hey, the Xbox isn't doing well. Let's open up our... I don't even know how it works. Like, let's just connect to a Nintendo Switch and play
Sure.
Minecraft or Fortnite or Rocket League. And that's like
Sure.
the only games I can think of right now. But it just seems so desperate that they're trying to grab Nintendo's success for their own.
Sure. So you're saying that rather, and I'll even say the idea of crossplay used to be,
It was
to
a
phrase
dream.
it this way. Yeah, it was kind of the dream. And I'll even say like everyone wanted it, but right now it's not being used for that. It's being used kind of as a ploy for, hey, if it's crossplay, you can buy our console. You don't have to switch to our opponents, whether it be Switch or PlayStation, or vice versa, depending on what console you own.
Right.
If it were crossplay, you could stick with our console no matter what,
Right.
rather than it being the dream of having the thought be we want everyone to play, and for it to be like that perfect gaming community.
Yes.
Okay.
And
There's
aside...
no such thing as a perfect.
I mean,
gaming
there's no
community.
such-
That's true.
But aside from console exclusives, let's give games like Call of Duty or like Battlefield, even like Rocket League, Fortnite, whatever you want that has multiplayer. If it's on multiple consoles that allegedly have cross-platform compatibility, what's the point of buying one console over another? If I can play Call of Duty on my Xbox, or if I can play Call of Duty on my Switch, what's the point of getting one or the other?
That's a
Sure.
That's a fair point. It kind of puts into perspective, like it would be awesome for those developers. So Epic Games, Activision, and a few others that have created these big multiplayer games, but it would suck for developers like my favorite developer, Naughty Dog. It
Absolutely.
would suck for them. They wouldn't have.
Yeah. But Naughty Dog makes games for PlayStation, which doesn't have the option to
The option of crossplay.
cross-play with other platforms, which is perfect. They don't need to.
Yeah, I think, just to share my quick thoughts, since I can feel it diving into that next step of the conversation, I like the idea. I won't label it necessarily crossplay. I like the idea of players being able to play with everyone else. That initial thought. However, Chris, I do completely agree with the reasoning of if crossplay were a thing now, you're absolutely right. It wouldn't matter what console you it's interesting going off of that, and this can even lead into a different conversation, but or not different, a further conversation of this. the only difference, if that did happen now, would be exclusives. Would be the things that really outline each console for themselves. And I will say specifically Xbox and PS4 because PC has every game.
Yeah,
PC players can do anything. Switch.
Yeah, the Switch has Mario.
Xbox
Xbox has Halo. PlayStation has Uncharted.
Well, yeah, and I will put Switch into its own bubble because it has all of the Nintendo trademarks and properties, and so they're going to do fine.
And they're coming out with third-party options, which they haven't done since the Wii.
Exactly. But so that's why I'll limit it to Xbox and PlayStation right now. But the biggest difference, the reason I'm sure you'd buy one or the other, is for exclusives.
Absolutely.
And if going off what you said earlier, if this were being used right now for the ploy of we want people to stay on our console, that actually it wouldn't do anything. Because the main reason, as far as I know, that people are buying PlayStations right now, I mean, aside from others, but right now especially, is because of exclusives.
At the time of this recording, Spider-Man comes out in a week and a half.
Yes. And that's just the tip of the iceberg right now. We've already had Uncharted 4, at least I'm talking current-gen console, so PlayStation 4.
The Last of Us remastered, Last of Us 2 will be coming out. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn.
We've had Infamous Second Son.
Infamous, yes.
We've had a really strong base for exclusives. These are ones that have already come out. Exclusives that will be coming out. In PlayStation released a statement several months ago saying that they're expecting to make within the next year or two around 20 or more exclusive games
I didn't
for
know
PlayStation.
It was that many. I figured we would get a whole God of War trilogy, a Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, God of War is going to come out with like 8 games, but only 3 of them are going to be the main franchise. But they're still going to count towards the main story. And they're going to come out for like iPhone or something like that. But you know what I mean, yeah.
And then Halo 6 comes out in an unknown time for... We don't even know if it will be this generation. It could be next, along with Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
But aside from Halo and Gears of War, what else do Xbox fans have?
Yeah.
That keeps them there.
They had that Sunset Overdrive or whatever.
No,
that was hyped at the time, but I forgot about that game completely.
That was one of those.
Yeah.
I won't say launch games, but it was roughly around the launch. It was a very
Infamous
early
Second Son wasn't a PlayStation launch title, but it's considered a launch title because it came out so close.
That is true. But no, I was talking to my dad about this because I had mentioned to him that I was interested to see how the push for crossplay would affect PlayStation. Because Bethesda's really taking an enormous role in that for crossplay
very much.
And that sort of thing. And they are, especially nowadays, as of this recording, an enormous company or an enormous name in the video game industry. They have a lot of... I would like to think
the biggest and oldest.
Yeah, I would like to think that they have a lot of hold on that sort of thing. And they've already made statements saying that they will pick and choose... They didn't say this exactly, so I'm just paraphrasing, but they are willing to pick and choose consoles and platforms that they release games on for whether or not whatever console or platform it is, they allow crossplay. So I
really hope that doesn't affect the single player aspect. Like, if Fallout 76, say, was only coming to Xbox One and Nintendo Switch because of the crossplay compatibility, what if they just don't put it on PlayStation?
Well, and
that makes me worried about Elder Scrolls.
Well, and I brought this up to my father because I agree, and he said in a really interesting thought, and I kind of agree with this thought now. He said, he said 2 things. Well, he said, son, first of all, it doesn't really matter right now because financially speaking, PlayStation won't be hurt at all.
Absolutely.
For whether or not a video game company chooses, especially one as big as Bethesda even, chooses to release a game on PlayStation or not. Because as of right now, and it looks like this isn't going to stop, PlayStation is creating its own revenue with its exclusives. So it really won't take the hit. It won't take as large of a hit as people would expect it to. And he said, secondly, with the amount of money that Sony has right now, and this was just the idea. I don't know if this could actually happen or not because there are a lot of legalities that go into this.
Sure.
But he said if Bethesda threatened to not release a game as large as Elder Scrolls 6 or a next Fallout or something like that on PlayStation, they could potentially just buy Bethesda.
Wow.
And there you go. I mean, because think about it. If somebody says, we won't release a game on your platform, and if you are, I'll even throw the PlayStation name out of this situation right now.
Are you going to just say Sony?
Oh, I won't even say Sony. If you are a platform maker,
okay,
a console maker, and you are the top dog, you have been on top of sales for over 2 years. Okay, the only, by the way, just to bring it very quickly back to PlayStation, the only console to beat PlayStation is Switch. And that's like this past month.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you are a console maker that is making billions of dollars and you have an enormous wave of exclusives coming out, so you'll have that as well backing you financially, why wouldn't you buy out someone who's threatening to not release a AAA game?
Yeah.
And that makes me remember to this past E3 2018, Xbox announced that they purchased like 17 studios to make exclusives for themselves, but it's still all indie studios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Xbox is going very heavy with the indies, and I think Nintendo Switch is too. But
I think indie games. I think indie games are really good. I think
they can be games like Shovel Knight. I'll give you, but like, I just don't have time or patience to sink my time into a 8-bit pixelated game.
That's fair. But
Not to say that that's wrong, just for anybody out there.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong
plays
with
those
that.
games.
we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with some final thoughts.
Absolutely.
The whole episode. We'll kind of go around and share our final thoughts. So,
Sure. Yeah.
Aaron, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Just to put it generally, I think these next 2 to 3 years, in terms of just entertainment in general, they're going to be very interesting because this is the turning point for how everything's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Whether, like we've talked about, whether it be culturally or whether it be with consoles, this is a big breaking point. So we're gonna see who survives it.
I feel my final thoughts are I feel excited, even though I'm not a video game creator, but just as a creator and as an artist, I feel really excited for these next few years, no matter what happens, because video games have become such a central part of storytelling, and those stories are going to get out no matter what console you're using or whatever, and I think it's really cool to see that we're like kind of watching a new turning point for the history of storytelling in media.
Yeah.
Which is a super hard statement to say, but it's kind of true. Looking at just the impact that video games have on today's culture, and that's kind of my final thoughts. Is I'm excited, but also a little bit scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my final thoughts, like I have to say, I'm also excited, but I'm also a bit curious. It just has to see where gaming is going in the future, because most console generations last 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
The 360 PlayStation 3 era ended 2013. That's when the 4 and the 1 came out, and we're coming close to the PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X just becoming irrelevant because studios are already making games for next gen consoles that we have no idea have potential for.
Yeah.
And like, I stand by the fact that next gen consoles will be announced by 2019 next year and be released 2020.
Yeah, and we will see what happens, but you're gonna have to stick with us and see what happens as well.
Yeah.
And be hot with us.
Yeah, and we do appreciate all you listeners. I heard from a few people around that they really enjoyed this podcast, and it was really nice to kind of just have on while they were working, or some people were playing video games. So thank you for the support already. We hope to continue making these, and we hope that you guys enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. 3
on 3. I've been Jacob.
And I'm Aaron.
I'm also Aaron,
Sorry.
I guess. You're Chris now.
And I'm Chris.
Press.
And with that, we bid you a farewell and good night.
Good night.
Bye.